Industry Talks by ARC Advisory Group.
Hello and welcome to Industry Talks by ARC Europe. I am David Humphrey and I'm here with my colleague Florian Güttner.
Hi.
And we're going to share a few minutes with you talking about where we've been recently. We've been on the road traveling. Florian, where have we been?
And we actually did the race, David, yesterday. So we did the race. We both shared our location, and it turned out that the ICE train from Hanover back to Munich is faster
It's
than a
faster,
car.
it's way faster.
Yeah, we have it on tape now. It's official.
Mhm.
No, we have been at the Hanover show for full 4 days. Very interesting show, very busy as usual. And even though we were quite busy with appointments, we had the chance to also collect all the impressions and the feedback from the analysts who were swarming around at the show, because we were there with a big group.
Mhm. Yeah. Florian, there's a lot to see this year.
Yeah.
The show has changed. It's moved around a little bit. It's downsized a little bit. What were some of the highlights, especially for you personally?
For me personally, it was really that power is back. I think I said it already here at the podcast, but suddenly power is back to be in comparative advantage. And you see that at the shows. Companies start to talk about power supply, resilience, changing energy sources. Obviously, it's a big thing for Schneider Electric to integrate power and automation.
Mhm.
But that was really one of the key findings, and it was all over, right? So Siemens talked in their press conference about a switchgear,
Mhm.
which I always make fun of being not interesting. But if you talk about power, switchgear is super
It's
interesting.
all related. It's all connected, Florian.
Everything is connected, yeah. David, you also talked with the other analysts. What did Stefan said about the Hanover Fair? What was Stefan Mick's highlight?
Stefan, as you know, is a machine builder at heart. It's a little bit in the family.
It's a
And
big
so
thing in the family.
he looks at everything through the lens of a machine builder. And one big topic for machine builders is data availability, data sovereignty. Data availability is having data reach the control layer, reach the execution layer so that it can be evaluated, whether it be raw data or interpreted data, data with context, or even sophisticated forms of data like insights from an AI model.
Yeah.
The other thing is sovereignty. There are new rules and regulations saying where data is allowed to be parked if it's in a data center, restricting it, for example, to the European continent.
That means that for the OEMs, they have now access to the data. They have settled all the legal requirements, and they are now going full speed and developing solutions around that.
Exactly.
All right. That is sort of related to one of your favorite topics, software-defined automation, because...
No.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, it is. So as soon as you have software-defined automation, the virtual PLC, you can connect it from it to that also remote. And that also is related to new business models for machine builders. So I'm pretty sure I can bet a larger amount of money that you observed something with SDA on the show. So my question is, what were your personal highlights from
Okay. How much
Hanover?
time do I have? Because I can talk forever about SDA. Let me see if I can consolidate it. There's a very strong message coming across about the future of automation architectures. It's a simple equation. It's SDA, software-defined automation, plus AI, meaning industrial AI, is equal to autonomous operations. That means you put both of these in place, and then the pathway to future autonomous operations is clear. So SDA it's not a thing. It's not a product you can buy. It's a concept that is defined differently. But our best example is the guys up the road at Audi who did absolute pioneering work. We spoke with them at the fair. They're going to speak at our forum in Spain very soon. And what Audi did was created their own infrastructure that is basically software-defined automation. And a lot of people say, oh, yeah, that's that project where they virtualized the PLC. And my answer is, yes, they did exactly that, but sort of at the end of the project.
Yeah.
What they did before was they created the infrastructure for software-defined automation by virtualizing existing software and treating them as workloads like the IT guys do, so they can move them around and be more flexible and do a much better job of managing
And
them.
that's a discussion we also had with Siemens over the last month, where they see there's now a big move coming from data-driven operations. But sure, you have to get the infrastructure first, right? So you have to get the connectivity, talking back to Stefan's point about data availability and sovereignty, but you have to get the connectivity, build the infrastructure, and from there on, you can really build and accelerate once you have streamlined all of this. And a side note, one very interesting company I saw this as well was Zubcon, the Chinese DCS vendor. So it's not only a European thing, it's also in China already a big thing. David, you spoke with Alexey as well. What did Alex say?
Alexey looked a lot at some of the switchgear manufacturers, for example, Phoenix Contact, but also Siemens, and found a lot of parallels between process plants, manufacturing plants, and data centers. We're seeing more and more of our gear, industrial automation equipment, go into data centers.
I also know you were on a show about data centers, so anything else to add from your perspective?
Yeah, data centers are the future. They're our model for what process plants and manufacturing plants are going to look like in 5 to 10 years. And I mean that in terms of power. You mentioned power at the very beginning. A couple of trends that we're seeing in data centers first, but will come, are DC power. There's going to be more and more DC power implemented in data centers. It's a complex thing. You get AC power coming in, things get stepped down. Sometimes they go from AC to DC back to AC, and then there are good reasons for that. But it makes a lot of sense in a closed plant with not miles of distance between machines, for example, to use DC. There's a lot of chances to save power. And because data centers are being built, they're going to test this, and they're going to show us in the manufacturing world how this works so that we can do it in the future.
If you talk about data centers, we probably have to mention there are the big data centers, and AI, also AI factories, so slightly differentiations there that the hyperscaler built. But also what we are seeing, and we had that in talks around Hanover as well, are local data centers, maybe just a rack, maybe just two, that are there for the virtualization of the control layer to collect data and all like. So it has two sides, actually.
Florian, our colleague Naresh, joined us this week as well, and he's a keen observer of certain areas of the market. Can you tell us what he reported?
Yeah, Naresh is right now researching certain components for physical AI, aka robotics.
Physical AI means robotics.
It's a bit more complex, but it's
Interesting.
Exaggerating, you can really say that AI meeting robotics creates that physical AI, and the capabilities just go through the roof when you apply AI, because they get much more flexible and capable of doing things. So Naresh observed that, and there are many use cases now where the AI-enhanced robots or the physical AI is doing more and more stuff. And you also know his other big topic is 5G, which was a big hype for quite some time, and then it was very quiet about that topic. And according to Naresh, since 2024, so since 1.5, 2 years, it's really picking up again. But I talked with him, and he also says it's really the users who are now demanding that something is happening.
Exactly. This is a technology that replaces existing technologies and has certain benefits, but it's one thing to read a list of benefits, and it's another thing to read a use case where you say, that's what I need. Now I recognize the benefits, and now I want to try it in my plant. But when I try it, I first do a proof of concept. So I set up a rig and use a private 5G network rather than cable communications, and that might run for a year or two before I'm comfortable using it and scaling it up to the rest of the plant.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. There also needs to the demand. All right. So if you don't have the requirement for a lot of data, a lot of data, and that in a, I would say, mobile setting, because otherwise you could just put a cable somewhere.
Exactly.
Such as physical AI, and that closes the loop, then it's really taking off. So David, Naresh, and here's a question for you. I really want to get your opinion on that. Naresh talked about physical AI. Stefan talked about availability data and AI. Everyone talks about AI, and AI is the big thing. But if you look back, you have AI as the main topic of the last 2, 3, 5, I don't know, shows, conferences. It's always AI. If you step back and have a look, what was new? What was the development this year compared to the last years?
There's a lot going on. Every year it is different. Every year we say AI is everywhere, and that's true. What I'm seeing is the stratification of the value add of AI starting to spread out because it's being implemented in more and more products. We started 3 years ago with the technology that floored us, the co-pilots suddenly appearing literally 4 months after all of us had touched ChatGPT for the very first time, and there was generative AI in use and helping engineers more quickly program their control systems. Fantastic
there
stuff.
was a big news from Siemens with the Eigen engineering.
This year they've gone one step higher. This Eigen engineering agent that works hand in hand with Copilot. And one additional thing that I find really cool is validation. What does validation means? It checks the code that you wrote, or that checks the code that it wrote, and it checks it according to against a list of criteria for safety reasons, for quality reasons, or just to make sure that this code was written within your company's guidelines for how programs are supposed to be written. But it gives you a report of the quality, basically, so the conformity of your code.
This would be something that you say is new on AI. So it's more embedded into individual product software mainly, and then also the engineering side.
Yeah, it's new there, but I see it in, for example, predictive maintenance, where predictive maintenance has always used data to search for patterns. But with AI, it's a lot more intelligent. It's a lot more free to learn new patterns and then to make suggestions based on that. It looks at the current situation, and it sees if it sees like a comparable example from last year or 3 years ago, and it says, "Hey, we've had this problem before. Do you want me to make a suggestion on how we can solve it this time?" And it's your job to say, "Sure."
I want to add one more observation here, and this is I saw at the Schneider booth. I saw it at others as well, and also at a smaller company called TwinThread. And this is AI is getting more robust. That means in the past you did a pilot, you implemented something, you optimized one single application, and then you want to use your findings and get to the next application, being it's the same machine, but maybe in a different location, and nothing worked again. And I think that robustness does two things. First, scaling up is possible and more economically feasible. And the second thing, it also gives you more trust, especially to all the skeptics in any company that you inevitably have. All right, David, anything else on the Hanover show?
There's a lot to see this year, but I'm out of time. I think we're out of time. We've got to make some preparations for the ARC Industry Forum next week in Spain, just in Barcelona, just south of Barcelona, in Sitges to be exact. All right, now let's switch our gears, put a pot of coffee on, and hand over the mic and the camera to our colleagues Luciano and Alexey, and hear what they have to say in this week's deep dive about open automation.
All right, thank you very much, and see you next month on the podcast, or even better, next week in Sitges. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Luciano Narcisi and I'm here with Alex to talk about open automation while we are taking a cup of coffee. Alex, welcome.
Thank you, Luciano.
Alex, I see a big trend around openness and it seems there is a shift in the automation market. What do you think about this?
That's my understanding that it's some kind of, the game changer for the industry. It's like a USB-C comes to the market. Then instead of having, 5-6 different standards for charging, you have only the one standard right now. And it's not like 100% true. We cannot call that it's already they changed the game, but it's actually very good movement for the industry.
So we are also talking about software-defined automation, and I think there is a relation with this concept of openness. So what do you think about that?
I see that from the point of the software-defined automation is the decoupling software with the hardware.
Mhm.
The meaning is that you can use the software from different vendors with the hardware from different vendors, and you can interconnect all of that. And basically, it brings a lot of value for the end users because they are not stick to the single vendor anymore. They can choose the hardware from the different vendors. This is also, there's some kind of disadvantages of that approach, because usually in the industrial world, you have somebody who is responsible for the performance of the solution.
Yeah, the total solution.
Yeah, the total solution. And here, if you decoupling the software and hardware, and if you use a multi-vendor solution, there's somebody
Who is responsible for that?
still needs to be responsible for that. And this is like the gray area of the industry.
Yeah.
But I believe that it's a great moment for the industry. And this problem might be solved in the future. But for the machine builders, for end users, it's the really great action, and they can get a lot of benefits out of that.
Okay, so how is this changing the way the engineers are building the system? Because now they have, as you said, hardware decoupled from software. They need to bring them together, maybe from different vendors. So how is this affecting their job or their role?
That's from my perspective, this is the real game changer. We are finally coding like in the IT world using Industrial DevOps, which is basically a set of tools to automate how you develop the software, how you control, how you're testing, and even how you're using, Git for the version control. And the biggest benefit from my perspective is basically you change the approach. You use the like readable code. You're not like they have like a drag and drops tools anymore. And then you have the readable code. You can also involve AI agent from the different perspective, and this is the real game changer for the industry.
Okay, so it seems there is a shift in the culture of automation there, and this will certainly affect the classic pyramid of ISA 95. So why do you think this needs to change to keep up with the change, the transformation?
Yeah. That I wouldn't change the pyramid itself. The pyramid is basically the structure how the industrial automation world works, and we don't need to change anything. But the pyramid was built for the unconnected machines many years ago, and now world has been changed. And what do we need? We need to avoid any bottlenecks with the data. Because in the pyramid, you have these layers, and the data flows from one layer to another layer. And with a new approach, it's called unified namespace. You basically have the single source of the data. All the data producers like PLC, sensors, others, send the data to that space, and every consumer of the data, like MES, I don't know, etc. They can take the data from a unified namespace and use this data for any other approaches.
This resonates with what we are also promoting with the digital working group. It is a similar concept that we are promoting there. So I can imagine that this is helping to overcome the integration challenges that many companies are facing.
Yeah, that's a reason for that. It's not only for the industrial automation, it's not only for controlling, but within the industrial automation nowadays, you have many different aspects. What, as example, you just mentioned, the digital twin. And digital twin is one of the solutions which in some certain applications absolutely necessary. And to simplify the process of the integration digital twin, you need to get the single, reliable source of the data. And this is exactly what it's about. It's not only for industrial automation, for controlling system. It's for everything. It's for being able to get an additional functionality, to be able to integrate it easy without an additional efforts. You don't need any more to build, the own data set for each of the application you would like to integrate. You can just simply use the data from that source and fill the data to your digital twin solution.
Now, moving into the standards, because we see this is a trend maybe in the last couple of years, but standards have been developed for around a decade already. I think OPAS is going to release the 3rd version this year. So what can you say about this?
Yeah, I know that it started back in 2016. It was introduced at the ERC forum that days. And one of the company which really push forward that standards, it's used to be ExxonMobil and is still ExxonMobil, they're active player at this. And now, as you mentioned, they introduced the 3rd version of the standard. And it's really moving forward. Still, we see a lot of pilot projects around the world. And this is the thing that, that's the real application of that solution. It's still somewhere on the pilot stage, not on the real world application. But I believe that this standard bring a lot of benefits. It basically, again, it's uncoupled or decoupled the software with the hardware, and it brings to the end user the possibility to get a multi-vendor solution.
Yeah.
That's a reason why the companies like ExxonMobil, they're really into that topic, and they aim to achieve that one point of time.
We do work closely with the OPAF, which is related to the OPAS standard, and Exxon is I will say one of the leading companies there. But it's not the only organization that we are from ARC are working with. Actually, there are other organizations which are following the same spirit, I will say, like UAO, and they just exceed the 100 members already. But it seems that there might be some overlapping or not. So there are many organizations working in this direction. So what can you say on this?
Yeah, I would say that they're a perfect match to each other. I know that the OPAF defined the standards of the standards, while the UO provides the actual shared runtime, the engine, and the possibility to
the
technology to make code universal across the vendors and ensure it's actual behave in the same way on the different devices. Yeah, that's why I believe, that's the different organization, different association that perfectly match to each other. And most of them, they aim to achieve the same goals.
What about the hardware layer, the cables and the protocols, and specifically on APL? What I heard from BASF that they are doing very good progress and they are seeing already some benefits from these changes that they are implementing.
Yeah, they implemented the pilot projects, and basically what they did, they used something about 240 devices, and they run those devices with APL. And basically it's, the proof that openness, because from my perspective, again, APL is some kind of, it's one perspective from openness, can survive in the harsh environment. It's very important. And the thing is that APL, it's only the physical protocol. You can run it's physical layer, not even the protocol. You can run any protocols like Profinet, OPC UA via APL physical layer. And it's, from my perspective, ends the era of your data hostage by proprietary field buses.
So we also see a big shift towards OPC UA in relation to security. Why do you think this is so important?
I see that it's a direct response to the Cyber Resilient Act. Because well-known protocols like Profinet, like EtherCAT, some others, they often transport the raw data without any encrypted. And this is some kind of weak point of that. And the game changer here is OPC UAFX. It's a first field bus, which is secure by design. Yeah, and this is bringing a lot of value, and you can be absolutely sure that your data is secure and crypted, and nobody can catch your data from the floor.
Now that you're saying this, I know some owner operators are reluctant to adopt this concept of openness because they feel that they are actually opening their information to the network and to everyone there. So what do you think about this? What can we say to those that are still doubting on this approach?
I see that other way around. The good example, what we just discussed with you, that the Profinet is the open protocol. Basically, it's a raw data flows. And if, I don't know, anybody wants to get your data, they probably have this possibility. But with the open protocols, you even have the possibilities to build your solution secure by design. That's the meaning is it's much more secure and nobody can steal your data.
Okay.
That's from my perspective, also even the benefit of use the open systems.
So moving into this open approach might require a lot of changes. What are your final takeaways that you would like to share with everyone in the industry?
I see that the window for waiting to see has closed. By 2026, the catch-up cost for those who stay closed will be exponentially higher than the cost of starting from the small pilot projects right now. And in 2030, your competitive edge won't be your machines. It will be your ability to orchestrate them. That's why I would say start small right now.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for this.
Thank you, Luciano, for having me.
And thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Florian Güldner of the ARC Advisory Group. We cannot take your call right now because we are all busy on the trade show. Thanks for calling.
This is David Humphrey, Research Director at ARC Europe. I'm live at the Hanover Fair, and I want to share with you some impressions of what I've seen in the first couple of days of the fair. Obviously, AI is everywhere. AI and software-defined automation are really the two leading topics of the fair. Everybody has a solution for it in some way. People have platforms. What we're noticing is a maturing slowly of both. AI is no longer an individual solution that's in test for visual inspection. It's starting to be integrated into solutions from advanced process control to PLC engineering, up to and including things like actually validating code that's been automatically generated to ensure that the code is conformed with safety or quality guidelines. Really fascinating. The next thing we're going to see that we're starting to see indicators of is AI workloads being hosted in new architectures in the factory. Factories are gradually turning their OT-style, old-fashioned architectures, connected plant, old concepts like that, into proper software-defined architectures and infrastructure that will be needed in the future, in the near future, to support the AI workloads that are going to come and control and manage and master our production.
Late 2024, the 5G use cases happened in the industry side, and but it looks like the interest was lost in the market. But now what I see today is some real use cases, but these use cases were not in the market. These use cases driven by customer requirements. So meaning these use cases, success stories were developed because the customers came to the companies like Nokia or Siemens, who has this private wireless. So in conjunction with customer requirements, they developed these use cases. So in my opinion, now this is taking off, this 5G in the industrial space, and we see good adoptions in the industrial space as well.
My first impression that Ganori Trade Show has been changed. Now it's a bit smaller than it used to be. Previous years, many of the middle-size, especially German companies, they are not here anymore, like Waage, like Weidmuller, like Turk. And they completely also changed the location. In the previous time, most of the automation company, they were located in the hall number 9. Now they are all in the hall number 27. In terms of the technology observation, as my colleague mentioned it, the AI is a very hot topic nowadays. But it's not only affect the industrial automation, it's also affects a lot of different industries. As example, the data center. Data center is growing, and within the conversation with the vendors, with the solution providers, they all mention that the data center is growing, and there are it's a big driver for that.
Regarding AI and all these new solutions that come with AI and industrial automation, of course, the main thing that is required for that is data, and a lot of data. And one of the big concerns in the past was data availability and sovereignty. And there are a lot of movements right now in the direction that, especially in Europe, regarding the geopolitical developments, that here in Europe there will be large investments made in the future to have data, to set up and build up data centers here, to have sovereignty over the data here, and use this data to enhance the models, to provide solutions to the end users, to the machine builders. And also there is a sentiment here that, and a big optimism, that we will accomplish this here in Europe and move forward and have solutions build up on their own with more independence from the global market, so that Europe is capable of building up strategies and solutions regarding the use of industrial AI.
My highlight from the fair was the energy consumption, energy demand solutions for data centers.
I want to share with you 2 observations. Number 1 is that power is back. It used to come just out of the socket, out of the wall, but suddenly we are discussing the integration of power with automation, the ability to secure power supply, and also how to get more resilient against the geopolitical changes that also impact the energy or wider energy supply. So this is something where power has once again transformed into a comparative advantage for countries, for regions. The second observation is that we have a major disruption right now. We have a war in Iran. We have a lot of insecurity, and still none of the Germans is loudly complaining about business. So it seems to be we are overall on not the worst path, and the companies are really focusing on technology and looking quite optimistic into the futures.
Industry Talks by ARC Advisory Group.